Yo, baby pop. Hey, y'all. It's your favorite perky barista, Juanita Michelle, and we are here at JM Enterprises taping the Broken Entrepreneur Podcast. Now, this is a little different. We have left Third Perk Coffee House and Wine Bar, and we are now taping here at JM Enterprise. So I am so honored today to have 4 beautiful, wonderful women here to participate with us in our first episode of our 3rd season. This is the girlfriend episode, y'all, okay? So we have Tiffany Ray-Bozeman, Chynne Bolden, Dr. Karen Townsend, and Dr. Crystal Phillips, okay? So before we get started and into our girlfriend conversation, I want to remind you guys why we're here. The purpose of the Broken Entrepreneur Podcast, it was created not to celebrate brokenness, but to acknowledge it so that we can fix it and make things better. I'm discussing with other entrepreneurs and some of my sister friends how they overcame challenges, and we remember that it is the overcomers that move on and really fulfill their success. So we want to use this information and help it impact other small business owners. So, again, y'all, this is a part of my sister circle, okay? I've got one of the dopest sister circles probably in the world, okay? I'm a snap it up for me and the women that I have that surround me. And I asked the ladies here to participate with me today because, like we've talked about we've been podcasting for almost a year now. And one of the things that we've talked about is how businesses get over. But I wanted to get a little bit deeper in myself, okay? And the things that I've done to help me get past my challenges, things that help me just to continue to move forward. So the women here are a part of my tribe that help me lift myself up. They are mentors, they are prayer warriors, they are support, technical support, phone a friend kind of circle, okay? So we have very different, everyone is here for a specific reason, and I'm going to introduce them again and let them have an opportunity to talk about what they do themselves. So I'm going to first introduce Miss Chynne. Chynne is probably one of the newest pieces of my sister circle. And my sister circle is pretty old. And when I say old, not in age, but in length of time that we've spent together. So Chynne is a new part of my sister circle. Chynne started out with me as a part of my perky team, as one of my perky baristas, but as she graduated from college and graduated from graduate school and really got into her professional career, she came back to help us with our SHE-Roe program, and she's also what we call a quiet plug. So, and we'll let her talk to you about that. Dr. Karen, also a newbie in my sister tribe, and we've got 8 years together, but she is still a new person in my sister tribe. And when she came along, as mothers, we have a connection. We have a connection in entrepreneurship, but she has been such a great mentor to me, and she's going to talk to you about herself. Dr. Crystal Phillips, she is my unneeded little sister. She's been around since we were in early days of high school, and she showed me that I could be a big sister, but she also has poured so much into me. Although she's younger than I, she's always given me sound advice, and she has been such a beacon of just encouragement and inspiration with her career in education. She'll tell you about herself in a moment. And to round up the group, Tiffany Bozeman. Tiffany Bozeman and I have been together since junior high, and she has been the wind beneath my wing, y'all, okay? So she keeps me flying. So that is including everything from being a godmother to my children. She was the first godmother to my children.
This is true.
Okay, for all you other children out there, just stay in your place, okay? My children are number one because I said so. Anyway, so Tiffany has been my wind beneath my wing, which ran from my children to just being a total support in so many different ways. And I'm gonna let her start off and just talk about how or what do you view as sisterhood or just being a support to someone. How do you feel about that? What do you do?
Well, one of the big things is I like to lead with the truth, even when it hurts.
Amen.
No, but seriously, because sometimes you get people who will clap you up for any old crazy thing that you're about to do, or they'll let you be out there looking silly and won't tell you. And to me, I can't support you and say I love you if I'm not willing to say hard truths. If I'm not willing to say, no, I don't think so, or that's not okay. So for me, that's one of the biggest things. Of course, doing it in love. Now, I'm not saying be mean or be harsh, but doing it in love. And then also just be willing to do anything that you would want done for you. And if that means, pushing up the sleeves and putting in a little elbow grease, if that means helping financially, if that just means listening and listening and listening again, those kind of things.
Okay. And she has been one of our perky baristas also. So, and we appreciate that. Crystal, what does it mean for you?
For me, sisterhood is kind of my lifeline. I feel like I grew up as an only child seeking other supports or ways to have a connection with people like me. And for me, sisterhood also means just always having that resource of a person. And like Tiffany just stated, not just we having a good time, and everybody wants to have a good time, but when things are going wrong, when your mom is sick, when your grandmother passes away, when your job is failing or you're in a situation where you don't know what to do. Those are the sisters who show up even without you saying, I'm hurting. They recognize what's going on, checking in, like, how have you been? I know you've been going through something. Sisterhood means just giving of yourself unconditionally without expecting anything in return.
Wow.
It's easy to have a relationship where, like I said, it's a good time and it's fun. Like Tiffany said, they tell you you're cute and your dress is too tight and it don't look right on you. Instead of saying, hey sis, you might want to get a slip or a girdle. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? And so in love and in truth, and good times and bad times, bad days, good days, hard times, we celebrate together, but we also have a firm place to land when things are going wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Karen, tell us what sisterhood means to you.
To me, sisterhood means that it's not just about me, it's about the collective. And I believe that if there's anything that is working for me in my life, if it's personal, if it's professional, if I think it would be a good thing for you, then as my sister, I want to share it with you. At the same time, if there's something that I know is not good, I don't need to see you scrape your knee or bump your head. I can say, sister, I don't think you should do that. And so the collective wisdom that we have, I believe we have a responsibility to share it with those around us unapologetically and in love.
Yes. Chynne doll.
Yes.
So tell me, what does sisterhood mean to you?
Really to piggyback off of everybody else, sisterhood is being honest, it's being loyal, it's being truthful, it's being vulnerable, and it's also being humble, because when I get corrected, not only by you all, but also by my friends or my little group, it's like I need to not be offended. I need to make sure I can say, that's good.
That's
okay.
good. Yes.
Ugh, I hate the fact that you just read me like that. But okay, you're right. To me, sisterhood is just showing up and doing what needs to be done. Because especially when you see your sisters and you see your circle, you see your tribe just constantly building up, I'd be a fool to not be like, hey, use my knee. Step.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's always being that need for somebody.
And so you said something that was really important, that ability to be able to take in information, process it, and then use it wisely. Because a lot of times, as women, we're easy to offend or to take offense of a certain criticism. And I don't know if it's a mature woman who understands at a certain point and you're able to absorb it and to adjust because of the information that you take in. But I think it is, especially as an entrepreneur, you are on a stage and people are constantly giving you advice on what you should do or how you should operate and what it should look like or how it should feel. And, you know, it is your baby. That business is your baby. And I remember getting started at Third Perk, and everyone had a better way that things should go. And, you know, in the beginning, it was like, okay, you're taking everything in, every comment in, every suggestion, everything. But then you started to discern the better ideas. Because some ideas are good and some things are constructive. But, you know, it takes some habit of getting that skin together to be able to take in that information and figure out what I should use and what I shouldn't. But when we're dealing with our sisters and we know that it is coming from a loving space, it's just so much easier to take it in and move forward. Can any of you guys talk about a time that you had to lift someone up around you? Whether it was me, whether it was another entrepreneur, just another friend, just the opportunity for you to be able to be a helping hand to someone. Does anyone have an example?
I'll use a broader one that we all are a part of. You guys tease me about being the repass coordinator.
Yes.
But what we know is in sisterhood that everybody's going to have that time when somebody in your family passes away. And I think what we created with that, we take care of the whole repass. It's a relief not only for our sister friend, but for that entire family. Do the whole repass. We decorate, make sure we have the food, serve the food, clean up afterwards. And that's a way of sisterhood and love that we're not only showing to that person, but extending to their family as well.
Absolutely.
And it's so funny that a lady came up to me the last time we were doing a repass and said, "How much do you guys charge?" I said, "Oh no, ma'am, this is a labor of love. We do this out of love. If it was a fee, we wouldn't do it. But we do that for each of our sisters that are in our sister circle, our sister group, because we know on that day, at some point, we're gonna need that same love. And when it's your turn, unfortunately, we all get a turn. You know how it feels to just take that weight off of, even with the family. Who's gonna bring what? I got some folks who are gonna take care of it.
Right.
We do all that, make sure that everything is in place, and I believe that's just a bigger part of us giving our heart and our love in that moment for not only the sister but the family. And you know that comes from just the heart of knowing I love you, I see you in this moment, and in this moment I'm going to be there for you, and take that weight and carry it as a group for the better good of not only that sister but for that family.
And that is an amazing example because I lost a cousin last week, and I just kind of arranged some of our family members, and I told her, okay, this is what we're going to be able to provide for the repass. And she said, well, how much is that going to cost? I had to tell her like 5 times, like, this is nothing. This is what we do. This is what we provide for you as a family, so you don't have to think about it. And, you know, that's priceless, because what it did for my family was just amazing, just to be able to not worry about that piece.
And then you see their faces when they walk into the repast.
And it's
Because
beautiful.
we make it look beautiful. We're not just throwing some food up there on the table. We try to.
Well, we
make it-
started. We didn't start off with it being beautiful.
Right.
we didn't. We didn't know.
We didn't know. Yes.
But it has.
But I think we're like 10 years in now.
easily.
Or so
Yeah.
doing it. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And even
it's
longer
grown.
than that, if you factor in the Lucille Darden factor,
Yes.
who was
Yes.
probably the original repast coordinator,
Mhm.
because
Yes.
she assembled us as friends. Like,
Mhm.
well, my brother passed away,
Right.
and I need y'all to serve the food.
Yes.
Mhm.
You
That's
know,
true.
so she
She did.
pulled
She
that
did.
together
She did.
because she, you know, for whatever reason, she called the girls together because she knew she could and that they would be willing to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
But
shout out
I
to
think that's an
Lucille.
example of sisterhood
Absolutely.
that she knew and has passed on to each of you that this is going to happen and people will have this need. And you don't go, oh shoot, I got something else to do. You're like,
No.
okay, where am I needed? What time do I need to be there? That's true sisterhood. Because a stranger on the street could say, I'm busy. But your sister is, I got you.
Any other examples? Okay. Well, Dr. Karen, you lead an organization and you have just celebrated, is it 30 years?
Yes, ma'am.
30 years of the Sister to Sister Conference. It is that day is so powerful. And so many people look forward to it annually. As the organizer for that event, how do you have women around you that lift you up during that process?
It wasn't always that way. It wasn't always that way. It started with 3 women, myself, Lillian Johnson, and Charlotta Taylor. It was our vision to do one day for women, because we recognize that as women in general, but Black women in particular, we're always doing it for everybody else. And I said, wouldn't it be great if we could have a day just for us?
Yes.
And my sister friend said, if you want to do it, we'll help you. And the interesting thing about that first conference was halfway through the day we had lunch, and then we did like open mic at lunchtime. And we were asking the women, how's it going? What do you think? And one woman said, this is great. Can we do it again next week? Next week. And we looked at each other and said, maybe not next week, but perhaps next year. And so what started off as a one-time, one-day event has evolved into this 30-year movement. And I think we're still here, number one, because we recognize the need for sisters to come together. And number two, we've created a space where it doesn't matter who you are, what your title is, how many degrees you have. Chynne said it earlier, it's a space where you can be vulnerable. And people talk about safe spaces, but I heard someone say recently, and I'm going to borrow it, it's a necessary space.
Yes.
Because women, sisters know when they come to the Sister to Sister conference, it is a judgment-free zone. You can laugh, you can cry, you can show up just as you are. And people check your titles at the door. Check your position at the door, because we're Dr. Townsend and Dr. Phillips, but we're just sisters on the day of that event. And you don't get to go a lot of places and just show up as you. You have to show up as whomever. And that, I don't know about anybody else, but that can be exhausting.
Yes.
It's exhausting. And women show up, mothers show up, wives show up, caregivers show up. But we're all sisters, and we need to just be able to have a day where my team can love on you. And so that is my labor of love.
Okay. I love it. So, Chynne, being a little less seasoned.
I think I'm over here.
So, tell us what experiences have you had as far as with women building you up or lifting you up? What experiences have you had?
So I've had the honor of being built up by so many different women. If I'm honest, I did that on purpose, because growing up, I was always the weird one. I did not fit in with anyone. I was friends with people who were like 20. Not friends, but like, I'm kicking it with you all day.
Okay.
And so I have a lot of women who just say, you can do it, don't give up, you gotta vibrate high, don't reinvent the wheel, don't overthink it, give yourself some credit. There have been so many times that especially 2023, I said, oh, I'm gonna sit down and not do anything except for my job. Why?
Nice
What's Exhibit A. So I've had a lot of women just show me that they do believe in me, and that what I have is not just some mediocre thing. Me showing up is not a mediocre thing, as much as I like to sometimes think it is. It's like, no, that's a really good idea. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yes.
Even at school, so I'm a therapist in DECA Prep. That's where Dr. Phillips is the principal. And I'm like, I got this idea. She's like, well, do it. Let's go. I'm like, oh, we're going to do it. You believe. Okay, here we go. So I've had countless experiences of just women pouring into me.
Yeah. And giving you a space.
Giving me a space.
To really shine in your talent.
Yeah.
Shining things.
Shiny things. Wow. And Tiffany, can you talk to us about, I know that you are, you do a lot of leadership at your church.
I do.
Can you talk about how you might be able to lift others at church, or how you've been able to lift others in your ministry?
Yeah, probably probably two of the most impactful things that I was able to work in my ministry would be when I worked with the Diamonds program. That was a mentoring group that we have for girls ages 10 to 18. And we would have the same girls, like, for example, my daughter was in it from 10 to 18. We would have girls in there from year to year to year. And it's so cool because I've gotten to see these little girls who were 10, and now they're these grown women who are like 29. And it comes full circle sometimes. I had the opportunity just a couple of years ago. There was one young lady, she had reached out to me during the pandemic on Facebook Messenger. Well, I didn't see the message. Okay. And it was real odd. I was sending her a message about something completely different, just checking in on her. And I saw this old message, and she was talking about wanting to get into education and not knowing what to do. And so I called a couple people in my circle and said, you got something at your school building? I got somebody I think might be good. And so I was able to hook her up with them, and she was just so thankful. And she even put this beautiful testimony on Facebook, how her income had doubled. She had a master's and was working as a para. You know, like she was undervalued. She was not getting paid what she was valued. Okay. And so, but she didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to make that transition. So just not only being able to be a mentor from ages 10 to 18, but still 10 years later, still being able to help and mentor those same young people. And the biggest advice I always tell them, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do to repay you. And you know what I always tell them? Pay it forward. You help somebody else. There's a little 12-year-old or 15-year-old or maybe 21-year-old who might need some direction from you. You don't have to have it all figured out to be influential, to be a woman of influence. You just do what you know and help somebody that might need it. So that's one of the ways. When I was over youth ministry, that was so fulfilling. I mean, probably the culmination, we would do something, we'd have events and different things, and we would have Youth Sunday. And one of the best Youth Sundays we had, we didn't have a speaker. My children spoke. And 4 of them, they gave these little, they call them sermons. I said, y'all ain't really preaching now, so we're calling them sermons. But they were just so proud. And if you could, there was one young man who was, I guess they don't like to use the word high functioning autism, but autistic, but very, very verbal, functioned very well. But he wasn't a big speaker. He didn't say a lot. But when I tell you, that baby got up there and he spoke about they had to compare themselves to a character, a person, not a character, a person in the Bible. And that young man got up there and he almost he brought folks down in tears. Like, it was amazing, but that wasn't year one of me working with them or year two. That was like years and years, and their confidence being built. And so that mentorship piece, I think for me, is probably the biggest part when you talk about influence and sisterhood, and that's with children, but that same thing happens, in our adult circles as well.
Yes. Wow. Whew. I want to keep digging into that whole ministry piece. I think it's amazing when we have just that network that we can use, because a lot of times if I don't have a number or I have a contact, I'll say, hey, Karen, do you know so-and-so, or do you know someone who does this, or who creates websites, who's managing social media, who's working at this place or that place. And between the tribe, you usually have someone who can give you a direct introduction or some type of resource that you could use. It is so much wealth in that group. And I've heard it before, your network is your net worth. And I have found that to be so true. So true. If I lost my cell phone, oh my goodness, and the information that's in it, I would just be like mortified, because it is so rich in information. But I like to know that hopefully you guys have duplicated it. I hope some of those numbers are duplicated. We can put it back together. But, I really appreciate just being able to throw out something and someone has something for me that's going to help me move forward. And as an entrepreneur, that has really helped me along the way. I have been, when I've been in need of an employee, I can kind of throw it out, hey, I need some help. And someone usually has someone really good that they can send me, and really be able to come in and lovingly and carefully come in and just really learn the business and do it with passion. And some of those have been my best hires. So how has your network really helped build you guys up? Did any of you guys have an example of how your network has really poured into you?
One of the things that I think is important when you're networking is to be willing to be a giver first. So before you ask for anything, that you offer that person a resource, a contact, a book to read, a podcast to watch.
Yes.
So you are a giver more than a receiver. And then when you need that, they are happy to assist you. I think the other thing about being an entrepreneur is to do good work from the very beginning. So Chynne, I know you're just beginning your entrepreneurial journey, but if you do good work from the beginning, that's your reputation. And people will refer you because of your reputation. I tell people all the time I'm an accidental entrepreneur, because I've been in business for a long time, but never had the things that you're supposed to have, like a website. Like, for real, like you're supposed to have a website, and I've had a website for like 3 years. But I have been very committed to doing good work. So if I do a good work for Juanita and people know what I do, then Juanita will refer me. And if I know that Tiffany is all about mentoring young people and I hear that somebody has that need, I'm going to think of Tiffany. So your network builds because of your reputation, and your network builds when you're willing to be a giver.
Yes. And speaking of being a giver, Chynne, can you tell us about the Quiet Plug?
Oh, wow. The Quiet Plug is a small business branch that I have created. I do flyers, I do social media posting, social media management. I show up to photo shoots and remind you, like, hey, we are here to sell your book. Give me something for your book, So I don't even know what to title that as. But the Quiet Plug started out of a space of, one, reaching out to like Anointed Dance Academy. I'm a dance coach there. And so I know that there were some media things that they needed. And I'm like, honey, I can put the flyer together. I can make a flyer. Okay. So I said, let me do that. And I did that. Miss Juanita needed some help. And I was like, oh, I could do that. Let me do that. But I also know that I have this entity of mental health. And so I said, I can't just go out there with 75 businesses. So I named it The Quiet Plug, and that's just something I love to do. And clearly my husband is in on it with the whole media tip of it all. So it's pretty awesome.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Cool. And Tiffany, can you, so Tiffany is an educator.
Yes.
We didn't say that. But one of the things that I admire about Tiffany is that she's had a long education career. She's been a teacher, she's been a teacher leader, she's been a principal. But one of the things that I admire about Tiffany is that people reach out to her for her assistance. No matter what role she's playing, she's got people who are reaching out. I see Tiffany's life as a consultant. So, because she has to do that. She's charged. She's going to be an entrepreneur. She's going to be an educational consultant. So, how do you help other educators with some of the things that they need to do? Tiffany's also a quiet plug.
That's an excellent question. How do I do it? I think I am a person who, I'm an observer. Like, I'm not going to be the loudest person in the room. I'm not going to lead the conversation. And so oftentimes I kind of just like see where people need something. And then when we're talking and they'll bring it up, we kind of just guide into it and then we'll start talking about it. Or sometimes they'll come to me and say, hey, I have this. And I'll give that, that advice. But oftentimes in my professional job, I might be in my classroom, minding my own business. I'm back in the classroom now. And then, the principal will say, I have this new teacher and I would just love if you'd spend some time with them. And then that turns into me mentoring them. Most recently, a few years ago, there was a brand new teacher and he was one of the most coachable people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. But I can remember before school started, he said, he was asking me all these things and what should we do and what should we do? And so I asked him, I said, what do you envision your classroom like? And so we went through like these exercises where he talked about what he wanted it to look like. I said, how do you want them to walk in? And we talked about how he wanted it. So we went through everything he wanted to see. I said, now teach them that. And he said, what do you mean? I said, physically teach them that. Physically show them how you want them to walk in your room. Show them how you want them to get their materials out. How you want them. And so everything we went through. And so I'm thinking in my mind, because let me say, I'm a little hard on millennials. I can be a little hard on them. I love their fire, but they don't listen that well. They like to bump their heads a lot. But this little guy on the first day of school, I hear him, they're in the classroom, and all of a sudden I hear all these desks moving. And I'm thinking, is everything okay with them? New teacher, I didn't know if the kids were acting up. He took all the kids out in the hallway and he walked them in one by one, showing them exactly how he wanted them to walk in his room. And so those are the kind of things. So when I talk about, coaching and mentoring even adults, it's like let them envision. I think sometimes people don't know what they want. And once they know what they want, it's an easy path to get there.
Okay. So, Dr. Phil, you're pretty much in a new position. So you're now leading DECA Prep. What are some of the things that you can talk about in your new experience at DECA Prep and how you're leading there, or what you need from your sister tribe as you're leading that new building?
So it's a blessing. I call it a blessing to get the opportunity to work in any district or work with any set of children. But my experience at DECA Prep took me back to my original journey. My bachelor's degree is in elementary education. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of think about why I originally decided to be an educator, to see those small faces and be a part of building that foundation. And so it's so funny that you said, what do I need from my sisters? Because Chynne mentioned a project that she is working on, and we're gonna need volunteers. So I plan, she's just created something for me to send the sisters to come in. It's gonna be a 1-week event of just talking with our girls about the things it takes to be a young lady. So we're gonna do etiquette and how we present ourselves, our behaviors, how we make friendships that are positive, how we can build ourselves up through affirmations, and a whole week journey. So what we need is about 18 sisters that are willing to come in. One day is for 1 week. So if you can do a morning and afternoon or 2 hours with us, that would be amazing. So Chynne can share her sheets. She shared it with me. I'm going to share it with my sisters. So that's right on the forefront of something we're doing right now. That's the week of. Chynne, tell them the week, please.
I will look at my calendar and tell you all.
Okay.
Amen.
We'll have it down.
Yes, we'll put it in. Yes. So that's on the forefront. But just in general, just being a positive person in your community when you're dealing with your cousins, your sisters, your church members, about how they envision school and what, like Tiffany's saying, what they want for their children. I think we're at a pass now that education has become a thing where folks are sending their kids to school and thinking that we can fix all things. The world is vastly changing, and parents need support too.
Yeah.
Because we had a sister circle of raising our children together, to have ideas to bounce, to kind of figure things out. And there's a lot of parents out there who are figuring it out. A lot of moms who are working crazy hours and don't have a friend or a grandmother or aunt to say, hey, you really need to make sure your kids are in bed by 7 so that they get enough rest. Hey, you need to not take that job on 3rd shift so that you could be at home in the evening with your children, because that's invaluable, the fact that you're able to put your children in the bed and have dinner with them. Just those levels of impact that we as a society have walked away from. And the other one, I tell all my parents and all my students know, we follow directions the first time. That is the mainstay, because we've gotten to a place where our kids don't even hear us. They're on the toy playing the game. They're on their computers. So we're saying 3 and 4 and 5 times, time to go to bed, or time to take the shower, or time to do anything. And our children aren't hearing us. So when they get in the classroom, you got 22 people in the space where one teacher is asking you to do something. You got all these kids who've been taught, because we're teaching them that they don't have to follow directions again, because you're going to say it again.
Yeah.
You know, even to the point I've said to parents, if they can't sit down at dinner, they get a chance to sit down, they get up, take the meal away. They're not going to starve one meal, but what they'll know the next day when you say it's time to sit down for dinner, they'll sit down and eat their food. But we'll corral them back to the seat and back and forth. But I just think our sister circle has to step outside of our sister circle in other spaces. That's what I'm saying. Churches, your next door neighbor, you know, a cousin, and just repeat those things and remind them of those things that are valuable that our grandmothers and great grandmothers taught us, because they're not being said anymore. So we still, as a sister group, a sister city, have so much work to do with our parents and our families and these mothers, which leads me into Black Girl Leadership, and why I started it to begin with was because as a high school principal, the girls were changing. Like, you know, boys always got in trouble, always fought, but every now and then you would have a girl fight. But it got to a place where we had girl fights all the time, more than boys. And then I was talking to a PO, we got in a conversation about the fact that girls were being locked up in juvenile court and over at the prison at a growing rate. They were trying to find additional space for women. So I thought to myself, what can I do as a part of our community to say, hey, girls graduated from high school, senior year, let's try to figure out a way to corral them into some positivity, whether it be college, whether it be armed forces, whether it be into the workforce, but just so they get an opportunity to learn some additional skills about being a woman and learning and growing, and sharing the fact that I'm not perfect. I don't get it right. A good friend of ours in our sister circle, Phillips Charlton, says, just deaf to the lies. The lies that you see me as Dr. Phillips, and she's perfect, so she doesn't know. I know, because I've been there. You know, my mom was 16. I understand, and I can help. But we've got to be vulnerable, like Chynne said earlier, just about sharing that information and making sure that as being a sister, that we're not belittling those that we feel like have not reached the goals or places that we have, because we know we did it because somebody helped us up and held their hand out to continue to do that work, so that it's not just a small pocket of women, but it's a city of women who are in a place where they know if they need somebody. You know, I've got kids who still call, ask me about all kinds of stuff. If I can help, if I can do it, I'm going to do it. If not, I'm going to help find somebody. But just building that relationship so that they know when you're 27, like Tiffany said, you 30, you need me, I'm still here.
Right.
You know, and that building that legacy is big.
Wow. So, Dr. Karen, what's on the horizon for you with Sister to Sister?
We are, believe it or not, planning for the 2024 conference, and this is the first time I've said it publicly. So year 29, we did things really big. Year 30, we did things really big, and people have already said, oh my gosh, what's next? How are you going to make it bigger? Are you going to make it better? And that is a lot of pressure.
Yes.
That is a lot of pressure. So I told my team that this year, our focus, our theme is back to basics.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Back to basics. So you might not get a gift.
Okay.
You might not get any trinkets.
Okay.
I'm not going to mind. I'm not going to
But
mind.
I really want us to focus about what is most important, because all too often we get caught up in the glitz and the glamour and the swag,
Yes.
and you don't get what you need. You're not fed. And so that's what's on the horizon for Sister to Sister, that we really want it to be an experience that is going to be impactful, whether or not you get something shiny to take home. Because a lot of times you get that stuff and you don't know where it is. That's not what makes the difference, and that's what we want to do. We want to be difference makers. I wanted to follow up on something that you said about being Dr. Phillips and people looking at you, looking at all of us. I think because we have the privilege of being able to sit together, we have the privilege of being leaders in our community and business owners and therapists, educators. We are very influential. But we have to be also committed to telling our truth.
Yes.
Because people look at you and think you have all the answers and your life is perfect and you don't have any problems. And we have a responsibility to tell the truth. And I believe when you have the courage to tell your truth, it gives other people permission to tell theirs. And then they know that they're not alone.
Right.
They're not alone. And we all make mistakes. But when you know, people look at this as the finish line.
Right.
And it's sort of like when you see a person climb to the top of that mountain and put the flag in the snow, like, hooray, I made it. And that's a beautiful photo op.
Yes.
But nobody's taking the picture when you're climbing up and you slide down and the rope breaks and your pants are torn and you're bleeding and you're crying for your mother. Nobody's taking that picture. And I don't know about anybody else on the panel, but my rope has slipped. And my jeans have been torn. And I have been in my car crying on the way to a speaking engagement.
Yes.
And so because I have a sisterhood, I know I can tell that truth. And we need to encourage other sisters to tell their truth and create the necessary spaces so they can do that.
So, a part of my truth, I have probably cried more in the last 12 months than I probably have in the last 10 years.
So where do you cry? That's what I want.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have given myself permission to cry wherever I am. I have let out belting wails in the middle of the Gym City Market. I have cried at Third Perk. I have cried in my classroom. I have cried in front of my students. I have cried more again in this that's not funny, Brandy. I have cried more in the last 12 months. And I don't know if it is, I don't know if it's menopause. I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's just the fact that I have now, again, given myself permission to feel what is necessary. But I have done this so many times, and over everything or over anything. But whatever I'm feeling, I've been allowed just to feel it. And I'm able to be that strong because there is strength in my tears. I'm able to be that strong because I have people around me who are supporting me in those tears or encouraging me through the tears, whatever it may be. And I'm so thankful for you guys being a part of my journey. As you guys know, some of my Broken Entrepreneur viewers may not know, but our traditional coffee house, Third Perk, has closed. It closed on December 9th, and that was a whole process. But when I started this process with the Broken Entrepreneur, we were on a quest to make things better and to build things and build something that was going to be sustainable. And a part of my sustainability process is really bringing everything under one roof, a roof that I actually own, and put all of my efforts into that space and growing that space. So as we're moving through that, there's going to be growing pains with that because now we're in the process of opening what we know as the Soul Food Carryout. And the Soul Food Carryout will open first, followed by an expansion of that building to house another Third Perk, but just a drive-up version of a Third Perk. So we will be our first premium coffee space on the west side of Dayton. And I'm really excited about that. On the west side proper.
Yes.
We are doing so many cool things at that space. One thing I'm really excited about, and some of you guys may not know this, but as you all know, Third Perk is 3 experiences in one space. So we had coffee, we had food, and we had local art. So a part of the Soul Food Carryout, the outside, we're using that fence line to put 10 commissioned pieces of art. And those 10 pieces of art are going to include professional artists, college level, and children. So we're really excited about expanding ourselves there. And as we're moving through that next phase of the Third Perk space and JM Enterprises building or expanding into the Soul Food Carryout, I'm so thankful that I have you guys with me to continue on this journey. So, guys, I am I'm thankful that they're here. I love these women, and when I need to call someone, and I call people. I text at 3 o'clock in the morning, y'all.
She does. I'm like, is she up?
I text at 3 o'clock in the morning because usually that's when I wake up. So when I wake up at 3 and I get an idea, you know what that idea is because I'm going to let you know. So as I'm continuing down this path and continuing to have you guys with me, again, thank you in advance for being here. And I am so excited about this moment. And I hope that you guys have really just kind of honed in on just the variety that's on this episode. We've got variety in age, we've got a variety in occupations. Some people who are working full time, some people are entrepreneurs, and you've got a mixture of in between. But the biggest thing that you see today is an example of true sisterhood. And I am, again, thankful for that. So, as we kick off our 3rd season, we have did this 3 times. This is just amazing. We've got so many wonderful episodes for you guys coming up, and I hope that you guys keep on brewing on that good stuff. That's right. Third Perk is closed, but guess what, y'all? You know you can get Third Perk coffee online. You can. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Where?
So if you go to www.thirdperk.biz, you can order bags of Third Perk coffee. Mm-hmm. They will be delivered right to you at your home, okay? Okay. And what else is available on that website? The People's Coffee House. That book?
That book.
Oh, that book.
Wait a minute. Okay. So, time out. Give me some feedback from the book. Do any of you guys have any feedback, or have you
I'm
actually?
biased because I wrote the foreword, so don't ask me.
You did.
Don't ask me.
You did.
Also biased because I wrote a part.
I know. So I know you guys
all
are
did.
truly.
We all did.
We all did.
That's what happens. It's like, I need you guys to do this. So they get involved in everything. But what do you guys think of the book so far?
The thing I like most about it is because it's from a lot of different voices. So, like, some of the people in the book I know very well just because I'm part of the sister circle. But then some of them are people that I'm like, oh, I don't really know them very well. So it was good to just hear how they experience the coffee house from their point of view, because I just think of it from like my sister circle's point of view and what we do when we come down there and hang out. So
Right.
I think I like that part probably the best.
Okay. Any other comments about the coffee table book?
I enjoyed it just because most of the time I was reading it, if whether I knew the person or not, I was able to relate to their story and kind of chuckle about certain things that they mentioned, or even the hindsight that I didn't think of or didn't happen for me in my experience, but just enjoying because I love you so much and I know how much you put of yourself into it, to know that other people had great experiences made me proud of you and proud of the work that you've done and created for our community.
And if you guys haven't had a chance to read the book yet, the book is written in 4 quarters. So the starts out talking about me. It talks about opening a business, but that 3rd quarter is where we've had so many of our coffee house favorites give their experiences about the coffee house. And it's so funny because everybody has a selfish part of third perk. It's that, it's like, this is my chair, or this is where I sit, or, I want my drink that way. Not with that in it, but with that in it. So everyone has their thing or their reason why it is the People's Coffee House. So I'm so excited about that journey, about being able to have something that keeps the coffee house alive, even though it's now gone. So sad face, but
It's not gone.
it's not gone.
Just the brick and mortar.
Just a brick and mortar. That's brick and mortar. But that book, you got to get it. You got to get it. So,
Are you going to tell them where they can get one tomorrow?
well, we're not live,
Oh, that's right.
but but tomorrow. It's like tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be a space that's going on, and we'll put it in there somewhere.
Somewhere.
Is it
because
available online?
It is. It's at thirdperk.biz. Yep.
There you go.
So, again, guys, this is Juanita Michelle, your host of the Broken Entrepreneur Podcast. And remember, entrepreneurs, your solution is out there. So we hope, again, that you got some kind of nugget, even in your entrepreneurial life, that will help you as you're pressing on. But until we get together again, keep on brewing on good stuff and stay perky. Bye, y'all.